All right. Oh, look at that. We live. All right. I'm gonna try to log on in the Facebook group so I can see questions because the questions should come up in the comment section, but I give everybody a couple minutes to log on. But I ain't giving people forever. We ain't forever log on. So hold on, let me not show this. All right, so that way I can do some questions. All right, all right, we're gonna get started, Shanice.
Okay.
There's a couple people log on. So welcome, welcome. Hey everybody, my name is Stephanie Harmon, and I own SNS Carrying Transportation, but I also own what people used to call Stunningly Stephanie is now Stephanie R. Harmon Inc. And so I help people get started, but we're not even going to talk about all that tonight. We're going to introduce our special guest, Sharnese. So I get a lot of questions, Sharnese, in my Facebook group on how to get started. And we've known each other for a good little while now. And
Mhm.
Sharnese is in Atlanta, so I'm going to let her introduce herself. But we really want to talk about this passenger transportation, how you got started, like what motivates you to keep going, and hopefully answer a couple of questions in the meantime and in between time. All right. So I'm gonna put the hat off to Sharnese, let her introduce herself and in Atlanta.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharnese Johnson. I am the CEO and founder of Optimal Reliability Transportation. We provide non-emergency medical transportation services, non-medical transportation services, and student transportation services in and around the Atlanta area. Um, Got in the industry in 2016, working with someone, and wanted to know more about the industry. Just not just picking up passengers. Wanted to know what was it about, what was I doing. So then I branched out a little on my own. I even obtained a couple of my own private clients while working with this other young lady. And from there, I liked what I was doing. I was in the community. Okay, I was providing a service that was a needed service, not
Right.
realizing up until now the great need. I decided to branch out on my own, start my own business. Um, at any with NEMT in the beginning, transporting to and from doctor's appointments, etc. And here I am, and I have expanded not just to the doctor's appointments because errand services, other services are needed in transportation, and that's what I do.
And that's what she do. Look at that nice old elevator pitch.
30 seconds, John. 30 seconds.
That 30-second pitch, you know what I'm saying? But I've known Sharnese for a good little while. We had a mutual connection through a previous person that I'm not gonna mention, but we got a connection through a previous person, and we connected outside of that. We've done lives on social media before, and
Mhm.
so I reached out to Sharnese because I was like, man, listen, I got what I'm saying, I'm getting all these people in Atlanta or Georgia area that are that's interested in starting that passenger transportation. And so I used to say, I don't know, you probably did the same thing. Like we used to always say, we have a NEMT business. And so in the last couple of years, I've kind of went away from that.
Mhm.
I try to tell people that NEMT is really just a service that your passenger transportation business provides, right? And so if you put your business in that box, and we talked about this before, like
Mhm.
even how you talk with the expansion of your business, like if you even when you come down to thinking about the name of your business, like you
That's right.
think about the name of your business and you include NEMT or non-emergency transportation, all right, in the title or in your business name, sometime that could put your business in a box,
That's
right?
right. Exactly.
What do you think about when because I know you have consulting where you also help new entrepreneurs get started. When people come to you and they talk about that business name, that business idea, how do you explain that to them when they're thinking about putting NEMT or non-emergency transportation in their business name?
Right, good question. So when I'm doing consultations and helping others start in the industry, I
Mhm.
let them know, do not put NEMT on your name because you're going to be more than just NEMT. Like my business, Optimal Reliability Transportation. So
Mhm.
from there, I can expand myself to different areas within transportation,
Right,
not
right.
just NEMT. So what I tell people to do, think about what you want to do later, where you're going to expand, how you're going to expand your business, where do you want your business to go? Are you going to strictly be NEMT, going to the doctor's appointments and dialysis? Or are you thinking about, I want to do errand service, I want to do pharmacy stuff, picking up pharmacy, pharmaceuticals, etc. So you have to really think about where you want to take your business when you're thinking of that name of the business. And that's what I tell people. Think of the name first. Think about what you want to do before you jump out there and name your business. Because in the long run, like you said, you're boxing yourself in.
You
You're
are.
limiting yourself on what people see that you do.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, so when you have that conversation, even when you're thinking about it. So I know for me, I I talk to people all the time that saying like, man, I want to get into this NEMT business. How much money can I make? Soon as you tell me like how much money can you make, I'm probably gonna say you're not ready to own a business because you're already thinking about that means you haven't done no
Right.
research.
Mm-hmm.
Even how you were talking, the the conversation with yourself as the CEO or business owner, whatever you want to call yourself, like you have to have a business plan. So even when you starting, and the business plan can change, granted, because I know when I started, I was like, okay, I'm working with brokers. I'm gonna, transport people to and from their doctor's appointments. Once I realized that for me, I'm gonna say this just for me, brokers was making me broke. I'm just gonna say that for me because I don't want nobody coming for me in the comments. But I'm saying for me, when I realized, okay, man, working with brokers was not what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew I had to come up with some type of business plan. And it wasn't really sophisticated like that, but I knew that I need to sit down and think about what is it that you want to do with this business model? Like, what is it that you want to do? And so, how you were just saying, like, thinking about having a plan and not putting your business in a box and not just sitting with NEMT and it's when I you we me and you can talk like
Mm-hmm.
if you start thinking about what people need transportation for,
That's it.
the list can go on and on. Like we could talk for hours. Like I was on a live yesterday and somebody was asking me, I was on TikTok and they were like, well, where do I start with private pay? And I was like, man, listen, you gotta first start with the research and find the need. Like, what's the need in your area?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Because I might say plastic surgery or adult daycare, but you might not have none in your area.
That's
So
right.
we give you this list of places, but it's just a matter of really research.
A lot of people don't do that, Stephanie. They don't research the industry. So you come in and you say, what do I need to do next? So
Mhm.
my first question is, what have you done? So you're telling me that you got your LLC, you got your EIN, you've done all this here, and then your next question is, what do I do next? And
Right.
I'm asking you, what do you know about the industry? I'm asking you, what's an ALEG, and you're like, what's that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you haven't really done the research, or I'm asking you, what areas are you concentrating on? Do you want to do? And you're like, well, what's the areas? What can I do? That to me tells me that you haven't sat down to really evaluate, to know what you're getting into. In addition to you seeing dollars, you
Mhm.
don't have a passion for it. You don't have a drive for it. And anytime you're seeing just dollars when starting a business, That's going to be your main focus, and you're going to lose sight of your purpose. Then when that money ain't coming in, now you mad because you're not making that money because your purpose was, your priority was messed up.
Parties. But so we're gonna put a pencil in what you just said, that purpose. Because it's been plenty of days where I've been broke as hell. Like broke as hell. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? And you look at the fact that you have a vehicle, you gotta pay the insurance. The insurance ain't stopping. And so you like,
No,
okay, what else do you have to what else can I do? But you always to me, like you say, you always gotta go back to your purpose, your why, which whatever it is that you want to call it. But I'm gonna go with your purpose on, if you have had this conversation with God about your business and he's giving you that purpose, then what's your purpose? Because if you just sitting there, I've had people that I know you have, like, in the comments or in my Facebook group, and they like, well, I've been waiting for 60 days for the broker for motive care, and I'm still waiting. And I'm like, what you waiting on?
waiting on.
What you
It's your business.
what you
It's your
waiting?
baby.
It's not the broker business. It's
That's
not
right.
their business. It's your business. So then that goes back to, have you done your research? Have you even determined, like, did any kind of marketing research to see what
Hmm.
the need is in your area? Because what the need is for me may not be the same need
Right.
for you. So have you found that a lot of that it is Atlanta area saturated? Do you feel like it's a saturated area?
So I get that question a lot. When I see it as being saturated, I see that everybody wants to do it because everybody sees NEMT,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But what I don't see on the saturated side is a particular group of people doing it and wanting to doing it and sticking to it.
Mhm.
Everybody's jumping in it, so it's saturated because now everybody wants to do it.
Right, right, right.
But who's really staying in it?
Mhm.
Who's really doing what needs to be done to, make sure that these people get to and from their doctor's appointments? So Atlanta is such a big market that
Mhm.
yes, everybody's trying to get into it. But what I'm finding out is that not everybody has a desire for it. Not everybody has to drive for
Everybody can't do this.
it.
I
No,
don't. First of all, everybody can't be an entrepreneur.
no.
But I really focus, and I know you the same. Like, because we think alike when it comes to this thing. But I could hire Joe Blow to take people from A to B. Like,
Mhm.
I can go anywhere. I can go on Indeed. Even though we struggle with finding good, reliable people, but you can hire anybody to do a job. Like, I can hire worker bees, a CEO, or the entrepreneur business owner. You can't be a worker bee. At some point, the worker bee, and I saw this and I love the way he broke it down on Instagram. I forgot who said it, but he was like, the hustler must die in order for the CEO to live. You can't always be hustling. And I learned that the hard way, is that if I'm working in my business all the time, I'm driving people, doing stuff, I have
Exactly.
to work on my business. And so you, at some point, you got to be like, okay, when do I hire people or
Hmm.
partner with other people when it comes to this business and transport? But everybody can't do it. Everybody don't like people. Everybody ain't checking numbers. Everybody
No.
not gonna be able to sustain or stay in business, especially if you don't know how to pivot or transition or add other services.
If you can't add another service, and a lot of people don't understand it. They're like, well, what about you doing student services as part of your NEMT? No, no, that's not part of my NEMT. Okay,
Right,
because you don't understand the NEMT is just that non-emergency medical transportation.
right.
I provide another service, which is student transportation.
That's a
So
whole
if my NEMT part of my business is not doing this, this service is doing this. So a lot of people don't understand that, don't understand, the whole concept of transportation.
yeah.
They just don't understand the concept that there are more areas to transportation, and you have to be that one to sit down at that desk, concentrate, looking, researching, understand the different avenues, you know, how you can reach this particular audience, marketing and branding. And you can't do that on the road. And I know that firsthand because if I
Mhm.
hire somebody and they don't do what they're supposed to do, guess what? That route still has to get done.
Still got to get done.
Now I got to step out from behind the desk and do it.
Right, right. You have to have, and sometimes that falls into like that plan on when you decide to scale. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about, if you're trying to add clients and add new customers, go to different facilities, at
Mm-hmm.
some point all of this marketing that you have done is going to come to a head. Like,
Right.
all of this marketing, you might have did this, and at some point it's going to keep moving, and people going to be calling, and you're going to be like, oh shit, what am I gonna do?
You
Like,
want to come now.
so like when you want to go viral and you like, okay, I went viral, but I ain't got enough stuff. So
Right.
if
Yep.
when you think about it like that, if you have certain systems in place, if you
Mm-hmm.
decide, if you already know what you want to do when it comes to hiring people, like if you already have those things in place, then when it's time to hire, you're like, okay, I'm because I don't even like to tell people no when they call, but I also have, I want to say, I have gained partnerships with other providers. So
Okay.
I never tell somebody when they call no. Like, and I don't even have a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't have a
People
wheelchair.
look at us strange when we say that. I don't have no wheelchair. I don't have a wheelchair.
Yeah, but guess what? When somebody call, I'm not gonna ever say I don't have a wheelchair,
That's it. We're gonna find some.
because I have partnered with multiple providers in the area that I can call and say, listen, I got this person, this trip. Do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
All I'm gonna do is call the person back and say, listen, this is the driver that's gonna call you, and it's gonna be smooth. The customer's not gonna ever know that SNS Carrier Transportation doesn't have it, because to me, building your business is all about those partnerships and relationships. Like, that's the
That's it.
only way that you're gonna be able to move up and out. Like, that's the only way.
Yeah. A lot of providers don't understand that. I constantly say collaborate. I constantly say
Right.
network. Find
Right.
out who's in your area that you can work with, because you never know. There's a contract over here that you have that
Yeah.
you may not be able to cover, but now you have collaborated. You've reached out to this other provider. Now you all can gain more together.
That
But
works better.
it's so many people who don't grasp that concept, that if I call you, I'm not calling you because I want to hire you. I'm calling you because I have an opportunity for you.
Mhm.
I can't do it. I may not want to do it,
Right.
but
Right.
I'm calling you to give you that opportunity. So, we have to be in this industry. We have to be able to network one with another so that we can keep this industry to us. And that's
Right.
the only way we'll be able to do it.
That's the only way I feel like, and that's why I think it's important, even when I start doing the NEMT meetups, like, that is all I want people to understand. Like,
Mhm.
grasp this in your head that networking and collaboration, partnerships, if you're not doing that in your business, you are destined for failure.
Yep.
You are, because if you're not networking, you're not practicing your pitch. You're not understanding
Yeah.
even how to talk to people. Like, who are you practicing how to talk to people? So networking to me is key. Like, and we both know, like, from in past, the importance of even scheduling networking events, but being strategic and intentional about your networking and who you build these relationships with,
That's right.
because you never know. Like somebody will mention your name in a room that you're not even in, and that's what you want. Like I
That's,
want people to mention my name in rooms that I'm not in.
that's
So
right.
important is definitely. Other than that, how the hell me and you would not be on this Zoom? We would not be talking if it wasn't for networking, us having that relationship, and it's never competition. Even if you was in Charlotte, it would never be
It's
competition.
never a competition,
It's
and it's
enough money for everybody to make.
that's crazy for me because I'll tell people, they're like, okay, well, I need help out in North Carolina. Okay, well, did you call Stephanie? They're like, well, you can't do it. It's not a matter of me that I can't,
Right, right,
but there's an available resource to you
right,
right
right.
there. I
Yeah,
can show you how to get in the industry. I can tell you that all day long.
all day.
I can take you from A to B, but I don't know where your facility is versus where mine is over here. So I can't tell you that.
Mhm.
Get you someone that's in your area. And I'm and being a mentor and having my own consulting firm, I'm first one to tell you, you don't have to come to me.
Right,
But you
right,
need to get you with somebody who's going to show you the ropes and who's going to be dedicated and who knows what they're doing.
right. Now I do because I refer, like I refer, and I'm only going to refer to you, refer people to people that I know, coaches, mentors,
Mhm.
know that are going to give them the right guidance. Because then you're not gonna be messing up. Your business not gonna be jacked up, and you be like, man, Stephanie, you sent me not because I have had that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I might need to do some more research on this.
Yeah, but
And so
listen,
I refer people, and they
that's
like,
great.
I don't want, I want you to help me. I know
And
I'm in
that's
a state.
that's
I want
fine.
you to help me.
But do that. I tell people, get out there. Stop sitting down waiting for somebody
Yeah,
to give you their blueprint.
yeah, yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah.
What
Yeah.
you waiting on? Because I don't operate the way you operate. My
Mhm.
ideas and my goals and the way I vision my business is different from yours. The process may be the same of getting into the business,
Right.
but come on now, you got to create your own.
I think that's where I think that's where some, I don't say people are, I think that's where some entrepreneurs, because I can motivate you all day. I can tell you what to do all day. I can got it, and for me it don't matter what state you in. I can help you in whatever state, because I'm gonna help you with the business side of it.
That's it.
I'm gonna help you with your marketing. I'm gonna help you get started. I'm gonna help you understand how to calculate your rates. I'm gonna
Mhm.
help you with systems. It don't take a rocket science or a genius to figure out how to drive people. Like that's the part I can. That ain't hard. The other part about sustaining your business, staying relevant in this industry, being able to have a good profit margin where you like, okay, I'm making money, I can grow. That is the part where most entrepreneurs seem to struggle. Because like you said, they kind of come in thinking, well, how much money can I make? Or I see people on TikTok and social media saying you have to, you can make 10 grand a month, just go buy you a van. And then I'm like,
Right.
no, no, don't
Don't
buy
do
no
that.
van yet. Don't do
Right
it.
about now, that insurance is 10 grand a month. You keep on playing, you could
I'm like,
like if you
no,
want to.
no. Don't buy a van.
Mm,
Don't buy a van first. Don't buy your vehicle first. Like that.
nope,
That's almost like the last thing to do. And
that
I
it
tell
is.
that because I use personal vehicles. If I could do it over, I would still use personal
Personal
vehicles.
vehicles.
And
Yep.
I was able to save. I was able to learn the business, learn the
Hmm.
hiccups. And so when I think about it now, and people say, "Well, would you do it over?" Like, no. But again, like you said, my business plan is not the same as Sharnese. It's not the same as Sherry. It's not the same as Mrs. Smith over here. My
Exactly.
business plan is never to own a fleet of vans. I don't want to own a fleet of vans. That was never my thing, because to me it was always about I could learn how to do it, teach other people how to do it, partner with
Yep.
other providers, and we can run this city, state, the next state over, and we can keep going
And
until we
that's the
reach
idea.
the state, like until I reach the other corner.
That's the idea.
We
Yep.
all can work
We'll keep
together,
it not
like,
losing it.
and I think that's what we miss, or what we need in this industry is not everybody not being so on their own island. Like, we all can coexist and
Yep.
make money and cut the brokers out. Like, if we stuck together, because somebody sent me a rate sheet where brokers were paying $8 each week.
That's crazy. I saw one for $1.92.
What? Wait a
Somebody
minute.
and it said that, this is what they're offering me, $1.92 per mile. Baby,
My
if you don't
goodness.
send that back to them, and
No.
they showed me their response. Their response, when they asked them to negotiate, and they told me it was non-negotiable.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm not
No,
doing it.
we're not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
We're not.
But so we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna read this question. Research also involves footwork. It does. You have to go to business and have customers that need your services. Get emails of of social workers and coordinators for different facilities and send them. So that works. Um, and I forgot who sent it. Let me look at the thing. It was Angelique. So Angelique, that definitely works. Like, it works. But I won't say but. I feel like marketing is a daily thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proponent of work smarter, not harder. So when I first started, yeah, I paid, like, I was physically driving to locations. I was getting emails. I was sending, my capability statement or in my rate sheet to people. It's all about your follow up. So
Mm-hmm.
you can send all of this out, and for 30 days I got no responses. Like, people, it was cricket. And so I was like, all right, well, dang. So then I realized, like, Stephanie, you got to follow up, because I don't even know if my information got to the right person.
See,
You don't know. So then the marketing piece of it for you in Atlanta, like, how did you go from to get multiple private pay clients? And if you still work with brokers, I don't work with brokers anymore, but how did you transition from, because I know a lot of people want to know that, like, how did you transition from the broker, that rat wheel thing of the
right?
brokers, to private pay and being able to continue to grow?
You know what I did? A lot of people look at me crazy, like, what? I went back to my website and I added trigger words to my website. And
Mhm.
I tell others, even if you haven't done it yet, you put it on your website anyway.
Mhm.
Because the calls that I get, they're coming from my website.
Yep.
I can look at my phone, because my phone, I have the app on my phone. And every time I look up, somebody is on my website. So me just getting out there, doing the footwork, going into these facilities, I had to find another way to market. How else are people going to really know who I am?
Right.
It's
Right.
technology. They're going to look you up.
Right.
So if I have everything on my website that I don't even offer, somebody may need that service. So therefore, there's my experience, because I'm not going to tell you no.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
going to accept the trip and I'm going to do it.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so I tell everybody, find different marketing techniques.
Yeah.
Stop doing what everybody else is doing.
Don't be stuck in that.
Don't be
You know,
stuck.
I see it all the time. I know you probably do, like, in different Facebook groups, and I try to stay away from different Facebook groups. But what I notice is that, and I feel like some of the Facebook groups are run by brokers. Like, that's just my,
I agree with you on that one.
I just believe that they just set them up and they getting everybody information that joins. So that's why for me, like in my Facebook group, I try to make sure I go live so that people see
That's
that.
right.
Because I'm telling you, some of the Facebook groups are brokers running them, and all they're doing is gathering your information. And guess what? You're in there talking about, oh, I can't. Anybody can get in touch with motor care. Like anybody can cut in touch. All they're doing
Mm-hmm.
is taking information. So you got to be careful. But
That's right.
in those Facebook groups, a lot of times people, they ask these questions that are, I don't know, like it's almost like you want me to start and run your business. And I have to say that on my lives, like, so if you post a question that says, okay, I got my van, my EIN, and I've done some research, but what do I do next? I'm probably not going to approve that question. And it's for your, I feel like it's for your own benefit because I, if I approve it, then you're going to get a lot of people's input. And
Mhm.
a lot of people might give you the input that may not have done it, may just starting themselves. And so you got to be really careful about, so much information. But those Facebook groups, it's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them. It's a lot of and what I tell in my group, when you're going from group to group, you're grabbing a piece of the puzzle here, you're grabbing
Hmm.
a piece of the puzzle there, you're grabbing it from here. Now you're trying to put all this together, stick somewhere, so you can put those pieces of the puzzle together.
Right, right.
Because you're going to get something from somebody who's going to tell you their shortcut. May
Yeah,
not
it's
help
no
you.
shortcut. It's no shortcut to
So
it's no
right,
shortcut to
it's no
success.
shortcut. So now they're telling you, oh well, you can go ahead and do this, and then you do it, and then
Mhm.
guess what happened? It don't work out. Now
Right.
you're mad, and now you're like, people not telling you the right stuff. No, they're not. But
Yeah.
that's what happens when you flip flop and you're trying to find the answers to all of these questions that you have instead of just basically stopping right there and getting all that you need.
Yeah, I think that's a. I don't know. I get a lot of questions, and I just want to kind of take people. I just want to kind of take people and just grab them like this and be like, you have to do some research. Like look over, like please do some research because
Mhm.
even if you book a session with me, and I tell you, and I give you a blueprint, I help you. I would hope that you would have done some research on me.
That's right.
I would hope that you have checked me out to say, okay, well, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? She know a little something.
Hmm.
Or I don't really like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really feeling Stephanie because I ain't for everybody. But
Right. Now I ain't trying to be.
I ain't for everybody. But I know if I tell you something, I can tell you, I'm telling you what I done tried or somebody that I physically know has tried and done it. So when you in the Facebook groups and they say, well, oh, go drop your flyer off to dialysis clinics and hospitals, like that shit don't work all the time. And
Drop it
it's
on there.
easy. Like
Ooh,
don't you just I see that in the Facebook groups all the time.
then they
Drop
ain't telling them where. They
huh?
don't know a caseworker. They don't know the family services worker. They
Yeah.
don't know the business office. They don't know none of that. Just go drop it off.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. But like you said, though, I think it's very important to have a marketing plan and have different options for marketing.
Hmm.
Social media is an option for marketing, but when it comes to transporting people, the
Hmm.
only way that people are going to hire you that's not a broker, that's a facility, is that they know you.
That's
Like
right.
they have to know that one, you are a reputable business. You got some good insurance. Some of the facilities require you to get your like here. They require you to get your PVH or your private vehicle for hire tags
Yep.
because you know that with that process is an application, it's a background check, it's a drug test, like it's certain
Exactly.
things you have to do. So
Hmm.
when people say just go to facilities and take your flyers, like it ain't.
It's
I'm
not
just,
easy.
I just know it's tried and true. That shit don't work
It
like
don't
that.
work. It
It
don't work. You know how many times I've been to the hospital and have dropped all of my information off? and I
Yeah.
ain't got not a man call,
Yeah.
not a one from the hospital, not a
So
one. And I
listen,
don't get to every business center. I done took brochures. That's just how it is, because as I tell others, you walking in there, giving it to them, as soon as you walk back, somebody else walking in, or somebody they got a flyer of somebody else. It's kind of hit or miss,
yeah,
but you still got to stick to it. But you
yeah,
don't just walk in there, leave it, and walk back out and think that they're going to give you a long distance trip $2,000. That ain't gonna happen.
no. But even what you said, and I say this all the time, if you don't have a good website, and just to let everybody know, if you're on here, I'm doing an info session for whole route on Thursday. If
Mm.
you do not listen, when I first started, I had GoDaddy, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna, have a page so people know what I offer, and that was more of a headache because
That's what I was doing.
still had to take all your information. I still had to calculate it, call you back, and then I got to have a whole conversation with you about the price because you like, well, that's a little bit too much, or I got to take your payment, send your invoice. So you can talk about it. Like, how important do you feel like? And I know you said a minute ago that a lot of your connections, clients have come from your website.
Mm-hmm.
So how important is it to have a website?
So on my website, literally, you see my rates. You
Mm-hmm.
set an appointment. It blocks that time off. It comes over to me, whether it's available or not. You will know it, and you're paying for it, and that's it, cut and dry.
Right.
If you have questions, you have the option. I have a question first before I set this appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So you are eliminating a lot of unnecessary stuff when you have that website in order. Because one or two things going to happen. You're going to see my rating, you're going to want the trip, or you're not. If you have anything in between and you ask me a question, I'm going to answer that question. And it's going to send you right back to A or B. But a
Right.
lot of people feel like I don't need a website. I just do it word of mouth. Okay, well, like you said, I got to give you your rates. I got to set this time. We got to then determine where you're going, and then we got to go. Then I got to call you, and we got to go through all why. Why am I doing? You see, it's wasteful time.
That website. Listen, that website for me was a lifesaver. And the other thing is you understand the importance of having systems in place
In place.
because people gonna do the same thing that we do.
Yep.
When I'm trying to find a electrician, a painter, somebody, I'm gonna go to their website. I'm gonna go to
It's right.
Google. I'm gonna look at reviews. I'm
Mhm.
gonna, I want to see that you have a legit website, even for certain banks like funding. The importance of having a website is like should be at the top of your list before you put the first person in your car.
Yep.
But I get that some websites can be expensive, um, and it still goes back to what are you willing to do for this dream, for this business that you started. Are you willing to invest in
That's
it?
right.
Because transportation of people, passenger transportation is not a business that you can get into with no money. Even at the beginning, you might have clients, but at the beginning, you have to pay down payment on insurance. You got to decide if you want to buy a car or buy a van or not. You have to make those
You
decisions.
got to make it maintenance. You got to determine gas. You got to determine all. Even if you don't have a car payment, you still got other things associated with just that car alone. So,
Right.
do you have the funding for it? Do you have the money for it? And that's why people jump into this industry. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna buy a brand new car. Go ahead. Let me know how that work out for you.
Yeah, with your bad side. Now, if you have some good cushion money, you saved and you like, okay, I'm gonna loan my business the
Mm-hmm.
money. At some point, even like for me, I did loan my business the money, but at some point I want my money back.
Money back.
And you don't want to keep that cycle going to where you always lending or using your personal
Yep.
funds for your business. Like that can get very old. I done it.
It
I,
could
I,
cut
I
you deep.
got the whole t-shirt. I got the t-shirt, the sweatpants, the hoodie on that.
Cut you
So,
deep.
yeah,
You sitting there crying.
so you got to figure out like
Mhm.
when you're thinking about your prices when you
Yeah.
think
Ooh.
about starting. So before we get into pricing and rates, we're gonna answer Gerald. He said, "Hi, so should I start my NEMT business in my in personal four door sedan? I want to start in Atlanta." Well, I'll let you take that one.
So, Gerald, my question to you is this: do you have that cushion and that money set aside to go out and buy you another vehicle? If you don't, then you start where you are.
Hmm.
Don't get out here and get yourself into debt
Yeah,
trying to start a business. You need to know the ins and outs of the business.
yeah, for sure.
Somebody can give you a bunch of trips to run, but if you're going out here trying to get a wheelchair van or anything like that, you might mess yourself up. I started in a Nissan Altima, four-door Nissan Altima. It was
Go ahead.
copper. Did what it had to do. Ran it till it had almost 210,000 miles on it.
Listen, I
So
missed my Nissan Altima.
that thing was getting up, let me tell you.
That thing was
Right.
good.
Well, who said that you had to start out? See, we get this misconception that you
Mhm.
have to start out in a van. You got to start out in a wheelchair. You got to do this. First of all, if you don't know how to secure those people in that wheelchair van, you just hit a liability for your business. Because if
That's
they roll out the wrong way or they flip flop the wrong way, they gonna sue you.
you put them people, you don't secure them people right, and you turn that curve, and
And they
you're
doing this on three wheels. Listen, that general liability just went into effect for you. Okay, just want you to know.
yeah, you got to
So
be really
you
careful.
can't come on now. And starting in Atlanta is a good thing, but you have to not be afraid to start in Atlanta. You have to be able to get out here and hustle. You got to get out of Atlanta. Okay.
Yeah.
It's because you say you want to start in Atlanta, you got to look on the outside of Atlanta because there are more people who need transportation services that are not in Atlanta.
Them rural areas, I tell people, listen, I tell people all the time, don't worry about the city you live. If ain't nobody told you that you have to have a business in the city you live
You don't.
or the county you live in. I mean, I know people. I know a young lady. She's in Arkansas, and that's all she do is long distance county. That's all she do, and she only work with brokers, and she set her own rates. Cause guess what? Ain't nobody else doing it,
Anybody else doing it?
and so she like, nope. I know what you talking about, but this what I'm in charge. This right here is my rate.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing really good with brokers in her, but she's not in her city, like she's not in her direct
Right.
city, she's traveling.
She's in
And
an area where the brokers are probably are necessary, and that's all that they have, but they'll negotiate.
right, they're willing to, she said they were willing to negotiate. And she has two vans, but she since added other stuff, so it's doable. But I definitely agree with you, like not being in your city and being open to other areas
Mm-hmm.
in your county, other counties like those neighboring counties that
Yep.
when you do your research, you'll find that those are the places that need the transportation
Needs it.
the most.
Mm-hmm.
Let me answer. So he said, "What's the pros and cons of starting in your personal car?" It's none. I mean, I mean, I get. Let me take that back. So the pros are, for one, my car. I know for me, my car was paid for, so I'm not adding any additional burden on me starting off. The only thing is with commercial insurance for me. Like you have to add that commercial insurance to your personal car, but you need to let your agent know that you're using your vehicle for personal and business.
That's right.
And really, I mean, unless you like germophobia, like me, I kind of clean my car a little bit more, but I don't think it's no, I don't think it's a negative unless you're in an area that does not need sedan or ambulatory, which goes back to what we just said, is you definitely want to make sure you check the surrounding areas.
Right. Yeah.
And Gerald said, "Can you put your information in the chat, your contact info, website, or IG?" He said, I need to get mentorship." All right, Gerald. So we're gonna talk a little bit about we're gonna touch on this because this would be a long topic. But when you first started, did you set your did you set your own rates yourself? And if you did, how did you come up with your rates?
Okay. So that rate thing, whoo,
That's
that
what I
thing
said.
there take you
We're
all
gonna touch
night long.
on it. We gonna touch on it because we can really dive into these.
That so listen. So when I decided to set my rates, right? When I first started out trying to get and find out how the brokers charge their rates, in the beginning, I'm like, okay, $1.92, dollar whatever. Okay, that sounds like. But then I thought about it. I'm paying for gas and insurance.
Right.
I'm paying for maintenance and tires. When I ended up getting a wet bill because I decided to go and get some tires and some an oil change, and that bill came to $1,500,
Mm,
and that month I make the $1,300.
Child, say it again.
I was like, what? that that math ain't mathing.
Math is not mathing.
So I decided that, you know what, I need to be able to get from your house to your appointment on at least a gallon of gas. At least. I know that a gallon of gas here is $3 or whatever the rate is, $3.50 per gallon.
Right.
I need to be able to at least do that. So my rates don't go no less than whatever a gallon of gas is. And at this point, and I just keep it real, I'm getting ready to go up on my rates.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because the gas fluctuates. You don't know what season you're going to be in. You don't know how far you're going to drive. By the time you get to doing all this riding around, you don't use up a whole tank of gas, a half a tank of gas already. You may have only taken one or two trips.
Say that thing. Say that. Listen. Say that again for the people in the back
The
that
back.
that, that missed that. That's charging $1.25, $2 per mile. Gas is in Charlotte is $3.60. I'm going to say almost $4
Almost $4.
for regular. Depending on what kind of car you got,
You got to take it
like
out.
you might have to use premium.
And that's
So
it.
you're charging people, if you're charging people $20, I'm just gonna go with $20. If
Mm-hmm.
you're saying you're charging people $20 each way, and anything, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you $2 per mile. The person, first of all, you got to go pick them up.
You got to pick them up.
You got to go pick them up. They about 20. They about 15, 20 minutes away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor's appointment might be 15 miles, 10, 15 miles. But what a lot of people don't want to add is that time.
That time.
I had to be paid for my time.
That dead mile. I'm getting ready to leave my house. I got to get to you first. I ain't got no spaceship. I got to drive to you. Then when I get there and I'm waiting, now I'm going to drive you to your appointment. And if I don't have wait time, I'm going to do something else. I still got to get back to you and then drive you home. Then I got to go home.
Listen,
So that's dead miles.
that's a lot of, and I'm only saying I only wanted to talk about this because I say it all the time, and so I just feel like I wanted somebody else. I want somebody else say it, like, because I see it all the time. I was just in. I ain't gonna say the name of the Facebook group. I think I tagged you in it because
Mhm.
somebody asked about Georgia, and the person said, "Well, how do I do private pay?" First of all, it's not how you do private pay. is you want to add, you trying to add some customers, but how do I do private pay and how do I charge? So for me, that means that you are in business, but
Mhm.
you have let the brokers determine your rates.
That's it.
So you said, okay, I work with Motor Care, Southeast Trans,
Mhm.
MTM, these different brokers, and you have let the broker determine
Determine your rate. Determine how you're gonna live.
what you going. And so the broker rate ain't that don't got. First of all, the brokers, that's a customer. What they charge and don't have anything to do with what your
That's it.
business rate should be.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times I think people forget about time, because if I drive from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you got breaks here and there, but you back and cross town. Atlanta big, Charlotte big,
Mhm.
so you got traffic, you got stoplights and all this other stuff, and you done filled your tank up twice, but you only made if you need to make X amount of dollars. Let's say you need to make $300 a day to make ends meet, just to make ends meet. Like you need to make $300. Well, you done did all this ripping and running with the broker, and you only made 150.
That's it. Because the other 150 went to gas. That's it. And that money did not go to you that you made per se.
Right,
It actually went to the broker because the broker just paid you maybe a $25 or $40 for that trip, but
right.
they done already got about $250 themselves for that trip.
Yeah, that's why I think people. When I talk to people in the beginning stage, I always harp on, before you do anything, there's certain things in your foundation and
Mhm.
you have to do.
Mhm.
You got to know who your customer is.
That's
You
right.
have to know who.
Mhm.
Just because we are in transportation does not mean we transport everybody. Everybody's not your customer. And so if you haven't thought about who your client is,
That's right.
then how much you gonna charge? Like you got low fee, base rate, you got per mile rate, you got wait time, you got cancellation fee,
That's it.
show fee, you got deadhead, like
Additional stop fees,
stops. They want to know
escort.
what you stole on the way home. That's it. So if you're going based on what the broker has said, this is what we charge for people that have Medicaid, Medicare, or insurance, then how do you even know? And why have you started when you haven't calculated your rate? And if you
Right.
struggle, anybody that's on watch this video replay, if you struggle, then you should be booking a consultation, finding a class. I know I have workshops on my website, but
Yep.
be reaching out to somebody that has done it and can help you calculate your rate, because it is not. I don't care about no worksheets, no templates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't
You
care
need to
about
have the reality. You need the real.
the
You need
reality
the
is
real.
that it's not black and white.
No, it's not. No.
Businesses in Charlotte could really charge 5 different rates, because I don't know what your expenses are. You might have a car note. I don't have a car note. You might have a 93 gallon octane van, and my car take 87. And so even if you think about it to the simplest of compound, and you break it down to how many miles does your vehicle take when you fill it up, you should know that. Like, you should know my vehicle goes 18 miles per gallon.
Per gallon. I got 375 miles on full. So I
Oh,
know that 370 miles,
right.
I done messed up.
I done messed up. So you have to know that. But that goes into that research. And a lot of times we struggle
Yep.
with that piece of it. And I can only say, because I'm very transparent. I did not calculate my rates at the beginning. I work with brokers, And so I was
That's
like,
it.
well, even when Whole Route did my website, like years ago, my rates was like $15. And I was like, shit. Now my rate, I ain't even gonna lie, my base fee is $35.
$35 off the top.
Like I'm
I don't need to, if I go lower than that, I'm like, okay, well, you're a little elderly. I might, knock you down a little bit, but that's the going rate. That's what people don't understand. When you're figuring out these rates, what is the actual, what is, what somebody says, what's fair. You know
right.
what I'm saying? So you put yourself in that middle and everybody else is $35, $45. Why
Only
you
time only time that I have lowered my rate in the last 2 years is if I reach out to a facility
mm-hmm,
that they wanna add me as a preferred provider. I don't
mm-hmm,
really get into all them contracts with facilities too much, but you want to add me as a provider. And so I'll say, with the documentation or contract that I can give you trips at this rate,
that's right.
15% off or 10% or whatever off of my rate if
You provide me so
you
many.
guarantee me 50 trips a month.
That's it.
You can guarantee me 50 trips a month, then I'm willing to take 15% off for your clients only.
Mhm,
And you can do that, but you also have to do the math to understand, like, okay,
right.
if I am I taking a huge hit, because sometimes you gotta lose. You might have to take a L. I won't say an L, but you might have to lower your rate because the bigger picture in my mind was this facility has multiple locations, and
Right.
so if I can work with them here, then they're gonna tell me. They're gonna tell them about SNS transportation
Exactly.
to get other clients.
What's that benefit? It's all about, it's
Yeah.
sometimes when we're setting our rates for these facilities, you're looking at it, okay, well, I can make top dollar, but
Hmm.
how many trips are you going to actually be making, and
Right.
how many miles are you actually going to be riding and driving, versus if you go to the middle or so and they're giving you all of their clients and you're consistently busy.
Right.
That might be your go-to. That might be okay, well, I may need to work on this end to build this contract, to build this relationship, versus me busting through the door and saying off the top it's $10,000 flat rate. That's what we're going with. So you got to think about the long term. What's your ultimate goal out of that actual contract? What's the benefit? What's the gain for both?
It has to benefit both. I was about to say that it has to be a benefit because most of the facilities that I connect with now are 100% private pay.
Private.
So you have, and to me, what I've seen is you have multiple versions of private pay.
Mm-hmm.
You have student transportation, of course, most of the time that's private pay, but your rate is, and then you have private pay for facilities where the facility will cut you a check, whether it's adult daycare, whatever. But then over here, you got this pocket of facilities or senior living
Right.
where it is 100% private pay. The facility has nothing to do with
Do
it.
it.
The people that will reach out to you will be the caregiver of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And and most of the time when it's 100% private pay, I ain't even gonna lie, they don't care nothing about my rates.
They don't care about that.
They ain't questioning me like that's too much.
Mm-mm.
They just say how much is it?
A lot of, because it's the family members are in there. They're like, okay, well, if you're going to help me, and it goes back to knowing why you're in this industry. If you're going to help me solve a problem that you're going to get granted, and you're going to do this right here, and I don't have to do it, or
Right.
I have to work, and I know that there's somebody. Okay, well, how do we set this up? That's what you want.
The
It's not
family,
what you want.
they're not in the city. Like the lady we have, I had a call from a lady. She was coming from rehab,
Mm-hmm.
going to a new senior living facility, and it was one that I have a partnership with. And so she said, Jody called me, or Jody said to give you a call.
Mm-hmm.
I told her how much it was, and she paid the invoice like within minutes. But then later on, I found, she's like, well, oh, she's in a wheelchair. Now I already told y'all I don't have a wheelchair,
I'll do it.
but I know people that know people. So I called and I called one of the part providers that I know. His name is James. And I said, James, I have this trip. It's 11 o'clock. Here's all the information.
Mm-hmm.
He checked his schedule. He was like, yeah, I can do it. I sent her additional invoice because now it's wheelchair. So I got to charge.
Exactly.
And guess what? She was like, okay, and paid it.
And paid it.
And I paid James. Her and James connected. And he picked her up, dropped her off at the senior living facility, and everything was smooth.
And I'm out of it. I've already got my cut. He's got his cut. They work together. I'm done.
Everybody good.
That's it. That's what
it definitely, I mean, but you got to know off gate.
Yeah.
You got to know that you're going to charge people, and you got to be willing to stand on it, because I know for a fact I've said this is what the rate is, and in the beginning I'd be like, well, let me see, what we can do.
Shoot, yeah.
And I end up doing it, but then I'm like,
I could have got about 150 more.
And so, once now I'm like, this is my rate, and all, with the follow up,
Yep.
They'll say, okay, well, how do I pay? I don't really get that too much. If I do, I just say, well, if you change your mind, give us a call back.
I always tell people, never be afraid to say we appreciate you. If you find that you need us in the future, feel free to give us a call and keep it moving. That's just the bottom line. Don't feel bad about it.
You got to be willing to stand on your rate.
Stand on your rates. Your rates are your rates.
Your rates are your rates. And I think it can be scary if you're used to what the broker was paying.
Mm-hmm.
Or the broker might pay $15 each way, and you know that you need $30 each way.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes that adjustment can really mess with your psyche. Especially if you're just starting off, you're like, oh man, that's too much.
Yep. Brokers give you a security blanket to comfortability to where you're not ready to move your feet. And once you get rid of that Linus blanket, and you understand that, listen, okay, I can make more on my own. Yeah. Now you're comfortable. Now you're setting your rates. Now you don't have a problem with having people understand those are my rates. That's just it.
Yeah, that rate thing. I just tell people like, man, don't be copying people rates. I mean, only reason why I say that is because part of your research is definitely to see what other providers may be charging in your area. However, I don't really know how people came up with their rate, so I'm not copying your rate. I don't know if you had this rate for 10 years, 5 years.
Right.
I don't even know what math you use to calculate it. And so
a lot of people don't know how to calculate it.
And then some don't know how to calculate it. They might have went with the person that's on the other side of town. So you got to be really careful. And that person that posted, I was just like, just be careful with, because somebody put like an image of NEMT rates, and I was like, $25. I ain't charging nobody $25. No. But and he put it up, and I did. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It ain't my place to.
You have to know.
I just said, rates are not a one size fit all.
It's not a one size fit all.
You got to be real careful with just taking something offline. That's like saying, whatever people put on the internet is true, and it's not.
And it's a big lie. That's a big lie. Because, and I try to tell people that come through the program with me, when we're going through that part of your mentorship of learning how to calculate that rate, I got two things for you. You got your business that you got to take care of, and then how you going to live. So now while you're trying to set your rates on somebody else's rate, their income or their household may not be yours. Your household may only require $200 a day. That business may require $400. So now you need to be making $600 a day. They only may be making $350 a day because that's all they need to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you copying off somebody else and you short.
Short, shout.
Shout. Something ain't getting done.
And I can only say it because I've been there where I'm like, okay, I'm a full time entrepreneur, and so I have to be able to pay myself,
Mhm.
right? And you probably gonna be the last person that's gonna get paid because you got to pay insurance,
You got to pay
you
all of that,
got
right?
bill, you got to do all this other stuff,
Hmm.
and so yeah, you might be the last person to get paid, but your rates have to reflect
Reflect everything.
time and you being able to pay yourself as the owner operator or the
That's right.
driver. And when you don't include that, I think that's where the frustration come in to where you like, and I can only say because I've been frustrated, the frustration come in where you like, okay, this got to change, like this shit ain't working.
I ain't got no change coming in. I don't. Everybody else getting the dollars, but I'm not getting
I
them.
ain't making nothing. So you gotta it's a tough balance.
Hmm.
But your rates have to be done at the beginning
Yeah,
before you, even if you decide to work with brokers, because when you think about it, Shanice, like if you don't have your rates, your own business rates, how are you able to negotiate? Like what you negotiating?
what you
You just taking a word for what
that's
their
right.
rate is, and you're not able to negotiate because
You
you
don't
ain't
know.
got the rates.
That's right. If my rate is $3.75, you're offering me $1.92, and then I'm sitting here trying to calculate this gas and all this stuff that I'm having to pay out,
Mhm.
and it's not making any sense to
Yeah.
me. But then if I don't know how to calculate that, and I'm saying you telling me $1.92, and I'm thinking, okay, well that's close, or that's close to $2, then you're going to just take that for what it is and they can pay you anything because you don't really know how to calculate your rate.
And that's what tends to happen is we not, and I'm saying we, like as a collective, as an industry, you kind of go in with saying, well, this what the broker paying. I want to work with brokers. I want to work with brokers. I'm not knocking if you want to work with brokers. I'm not here to tell you how to run your business.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that people definitely want to make sure that they calculate and know your worth.
No, it
Like
ain't
you
gonna
gotta be
work.
able to determine your own value
That's
and
right.
know your worth
Mm-hmm.
before you even get started. Because then you kind of accepting whatever that they offering.
You become their employee is basically what you become.
Well, you hit the nail on the head because that's what it is. Because them fools be talking to you and they make you think.
Right. You got to go do this. But if you don't do this, well, what time did you get there? What?
You got me mixed up. Who you talking?
You can't leave until we call you back. Says who? Ain't nobody been to sit here all this long time waiting for y'all to get an approval back. Call somebody else. And see, that's the thing that we don't understand in the industry when working with brokers.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do what they're saying for you to do, or they're going to put you down on the bottom of the roster when they tell you, well, now work your way back up.
You went
You
back
work
up.
for them now. That's your job. Because if
That's
you can put me at the bottom and tell me I got to work my way up, I work for you.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That's the bad part. Like, and I felt that. I felt that when I was working with the brokers. Like, somebody said the broker make you go instant. I I felt that like
Hmm?
where they would they would they would call me and be like, "Well, are you there?" And I'm like, "No, the person didn't answer the phone. They didn't answer the door. I'm not gonna sit
Hmm.
there." They was like, "Well, you're supposed to wait for 15 minutes." And I'm like, "I'm not doing that. What is wrong with you? They're not there." And so what I had to do, like legit, is say, I'm going to come up with my own processes. And one of the processes was calling people the night before, calling them. If they don't answer the phone when we were on our way, I ain't going.
I'm not doing it because you
I got
apparently
put to
doing.
the bottom of the list. I got put to the bottom of the list a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I'm
Yep.
like, I'm not doing that.
Yep. Because you that automatically tells me that you're not going. They're going to contact. They're going to confirm that trip. With a lot of these brokers, they have these auto bots or whatever that they're calling to say, okay, with your driver's on the way, be there, blah 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 blah. Please press 1 to confirm.
Right.
right? So therefore, they already know they need to confirm that trip. If I'm
Yes,
calling you and you don't answer the phone, I'm going to assume that you're not going.
you're not going. And then what'll happen is they don't answer the phone because the broker them gave you the wrong. They done got the wrong number in the system.
Wrong number.
Then
Yep.
the person call and say, "Well, I've been waiting on my ride.
Mm-hmm.
Got me looking bad in these streets." Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no.
And then you want to write me up.
Now you want to have you got an issue with me, and so
Chat.
you got to be really careful. And everybody, even if you go back and watch the replay, please read the fine print on these contracts and with these brokers. Like I'm talking about the print that's about this tiny at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yes.
Or they tell you we're going to pay you a certain percentage. You don't do this, you're going to be cut down to this, this, and this. We're only going to pay you that dollar amount, this amount. And then you sit there wondering why this check ain't but 25 cents.
Man.
And now you mad at them. And now they always tell you, well, we have it on our form. Okay.
Back and forth with brokers so much about pay. So before we get, because we can go on and on about these rates. So if somebody that's in Georgia wants to know, how do I get started? Because my philosophy is always like state requirements and starting a transportation business don't always go hand in hand.
No.
So if somebody wants to start and they're saying, okay, well, I want to get my Medicaid number, I want to get started. Like, what are three things when they're going through that Medicaid process that they have to do or they have to know?
See, in Georgia, what people don't understand is Georgia, because Georgia is a Medicaid broker state, which
Mhm.
means that none of the trips that they get, we get paid through Medicaid.
Mhm.
We cannot get paid through Medicaid
Right.
because it's Medicaid driven. So when you're getting your Medicaid ID number and you're going through these care management organizations, which are individual practices, etc., you may have a number for them, a Medicaid number to present to them, because what's going to happen is they may code it that trip that they contacted you for transportation.
Mhm.
Medicaid may say, hey, listen, we only pay unless they're Medicaid a provider. So they need your Medicaid ID number. If you don't have that Medicaid ID number and that doctor says, hey, well, we need you to do, this trip for us. Do you have a Medicaid provider ID number? No, I don't. They can't utilize you
Oh wow.
because they're billing that patient has Medicaid.
Oh, okay, okay.
When they're coding and they're billing Medicaid. Everything that Medicaid pays out, you have to be a Medicaid provider or you have to be on that some type of Medicaid number, ID number.
Oh.
So that's why it's when we get Medicaid ID numbers here
Mhm.
at the bottom of the application, there's 4 care management groups, 2 hospitals or 3 hospitals and 1 actual facility that you go directly through that will utilize your Medicaid provider ID number for transportation. But you still don't get paid through Medicaid. You have to get paid through that care management office or that care management facility. They
Oh.
just use your number because you are now have a Medicaid provider ID number, which says that you are a part of the network now.
Interesting.
Like some other states, you get paid through Medicaid. You have to have a Medicaid ID number. And Medicaid, you have to code through Medicaid. You have to send that trip through Medicaid and you get your payment. We don't do that here.
Oh, so North Carolina is a broker state, but we can't, same thing, we can't bill Medicaid, or Medicare for transportation. We have to go through MTM or Motor Care.
Mm-hmm.
But the outside of that is we have to get our own Medicaid number. So we have to go through the process, pay the application fees like $600, get your Medicaid number.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people that's going to ask you for this Medicaid number are the brokers.
That's it.
You work with the brokers, you got to have that quote unquote Medicaid number.
So a lot of people don't understand that Medicaid, it's a state thing.
Mm-hmm.
Different states are set up different ways to accept Medicaid. North Carolina says, okay, well, you got to have your number. Georgia says you don't need a number unless you're going through those four. But then you have some other states that says you have to have a number and you have to bill us in order to be paid.
Right. Some states are not broker states, and
At all.
they bill Medicaid, Medicare
Mhm.
directly as long as you understand their billing process.
The billing process, and that's one hell of a process.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I know some people. I did a consultation with a young lady last week, and she's in a city that she connected with a DSS or Department of Social Services caseworker that she has a B line, like she has a direct line to her, and they DSS or Department of Social Services
Mhm.
pays her directly monthly for trips,
For trips. Yep.
but she can't bill them. But she don't have to go through a broker either.
Nope. Nope. She came. She came straight through the door. They
Yeah.
utilize her services, and she's a direct bill.
I told her, I said, girl, you definitely are like rare because most people, don't have those connections
No.
with Department of Social Services.
Nope. We have a lengthy process to go through here. You have to take a training class. Once you take the training class, you have to turn in an application. Then they're going to thoroughly go through your application to determine if you have everything that's set. Then those rates, you put your rates to determine if your rates are going to match their rates. Then you have to have a phone interview with the caseworker to determine if they're going to bring you on. Now you may come through. So it just depends. If she actually got in, if she's able to go straight through, then
Yeah,
yeah.
she got
She,
on, and I was like, girl, I was telling her like that's a plus. Like in
Mhm.
the area that she in, um, the transportation is like dire
I
needs.
need.
And so
Mhm.
she was able to connect with somebody that she knew, and she had been there. She lived there all her life. She was saying, but
Mhm.
I think people, when you think about going through that Medicaid process, like here for us, you got to go through a third party company. Like you do your application, you pay it, you pay the money, and then you they transfer all your stuff to this company called Public Consulting Group, and
Mhm.
in turn, like vet your business. They make you go through this online training, same thing, and they're the ones that will determine if you're not prepared for like the
Right.
site visit and all of that stuff. They're the ones that's going to determine if you get your Medicaid number.
Right.
But what people kind of get stuck on is, okay, I don't have my Medicaid number, now what? And so you only in North Carolina, the only reason you need a Medicaid number is if you plan on working with brokers.
With
If
bro-
you don't plan on working with brokers, you don't need a
you
Medicaid.
get it. You don't need it.
You don't
And
need it.
people are so stuck on that.
Yeah.
That's part of like coming through the mentorship program with me. It's like I need to get my Medicaid ID number. How do I do that? Okay, well, who are you going to work with? I don't want to work with anybody. I want to be private pay.
Well, then
Well,
why
what you need the Medicaid ID number for? I mean, I'm just saying, but I think they get that mixed up with the NPI number. Like, I need my NPI number. Yeah, you need that number if you're going to go through private pay insurance.
right. I know I tell people like the MPI number is free. Like get it.
Free,
If
get
you
it.
get it, just get it. Like it's because I work with a broker here called Safe Ride Health,
Mm-hmm.
and they are a broker from Blue Cross Blue Shield and United. Well, I was able to negotiate, and they paid my rate. So my thing is, if you are willing to pay me my rates, then I can work with you.
That's right.
And they only asked me for my NPI number. Like they looked up the and getting your NPI number makes it easier because people can look you up. Okay, at least you took that extra step to get
That's
your
right.
to get this number, and that's all they asked me for. Like they asked me for nothing else. They asked me for my NPI number. I gave it to them.
That's it.
That was it.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield hit me the same way. They asked me to forward over my MPI number, my rate sheet or little rate, whatever rates I had on there, contact information, who was my billing if I had a billing department, and I sent all that over.
Yeah,
That's,
it's a,
that's it.
and that's all. So if you don't want to make, if you don't have any intentions of working with a broker or transporting Medicaid clients, there's no need for
No
you to
need for you to have that Medicaid.
or Sharnese and book a session, get into a program, and your goal is to work on private pay.
Private pay. Because I know what, listen, once I fully know that it's a waste of my time with this Medicaid number and it's not going to change, that's the
Right.
last thing on my list that I'm going to discuss with you is getting this Medicaid ID number.
Yeah,
Because they have made it so to now, even if I wanted to go through a care management organization to they have made it so tight that I can't even do that now. So,
that's crazy though.
and then when you get into it, this comes along with research. Now Medicaid is may only give them 6 trips for the whole month at $20 a trip in the state of Georgia. So what am I going to waste my time trying to figure out how to get this Medicaid trip for? Not me. No. Mm-mm. Nope. So welcome to our world. This is it.
But it still go back to like we said at the beginning. And I hope people go back on YouTube or Facebook and really watch it because this is some great information
Mhm.
that nobody had to pay for.
No.
Like this is great information from North Carolina and Georgia. But at the end of the day, you still got before you even worry about working with brokers, figuring out anything, you gotta get that foundation done.
You gotta
Like
get that.
you gotta get that. You gotta have that foundation. You gotta know who your customer is. You gotta know what type of services you're gonna provide. You gotta know how much you're gonna charge people.
Mhm.
You want to know what are you gonna get a wheelchair? Are you gonna get stretcher? Are you gonna do student transportation? I mean, it's so many things that you can really do in within this transportation or passenger transportation industry until really you can have your own corner or your own niche and you won't bother nobody. You
Nobody.
won't cross nobody. It's a dude now that he's doing like armed passenger, almost like Uber and Lyft, but it's armed. And
And he
that's a
said,
great
himself.
that's a great niche to me because you think about student transportation where depending on what city you live in, you might you might have your kids being transported, to basketball practice or karate class, gymnastics, all that stuff, and you want them to feel safe.
Say,
Well,
that's right.
listen, I was like, damn, that was a good idea.
He found his niche, and and now he's making some money, and that's what people need to understand. Take the NEMT out of this business, and just whatever your business is, just say it's a passenger transportation service,
Passenger transportation service.
and take it from there.
Because you can do. I was talking to somebody, and I was like, she lived in Florida, like, and I was like, have you went to like plastic surgery? And I was like,
Kill it,
people getting BBLs every day
kill
and
it.
getting facelifts and all kind of stuff. And she hit me back like a month later, and she was like, "I did what you said." I was like, "You got?" She got. It's like, I got a contract with a plastic surgeon,
That's right.
and I was like, "That's depending on where you live. That's a no brainer. Like, if you live in an area, a rural area where you know drugs are a problem, then you probably should reach out to some rehab centers or
That's it.
some alcohol drug treatment centers,
Methadone clinics.
methadone clinics,
You got that. Find foster care.
foster care, uh, even group homes. Like,
They got to go to the doctor. They have to go. A lot of them don't have vans, but
right,
they still have to get these kids and these girls and things to appointments. So That's all about doing your research, knowing your area and knowing who your client base is.
Yeah, you have to
That's
figure
it.
that out. To me, that's like in the top three. I'm talking about like after you have done the setting up the business EIN bank account. Like I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about now you ready to get into the transportation, and now you like, okay, what's my foundation? Like what I need to get done. If
Yeah.
you don't know who you servicing, if you don't know who even needs your service, like there's no
First of
way
all, you
you can
know who
pull.
you are.
Yeah, that part.
Who you are. What you doing? Who are you?
Yeah,
You
you gotta
you can't tell me who you are and what you do. Then I'm like, okay, how can I hire you if you don't know who you are? If you can't present yourself to who you want to present yourself to, because you still don't know who you are.
because people tell it. Because I'm telling you, um, people on social media just saying, "Man, take your flyers." Like, you know what I'm saying? Take, you know what I'm saying? Take your flyer. I got my. I just happen to have a flyer here. Like, take your flyer, put some pins on it, and
And
just
pass it
go
out.
and start talk. Listen, I learned the hard way when I would go to facilities and I would talk to them, and I'm like, yo, I'm just saying, my name is Stephanie. I own S&S Care and Transportation, and we provide transportation in these counties to these people, and I'm just going on talking, and then they're like, oh, we need wheelchair, or we need,
Right.
and I'm like, well, damn,
I don't
I
spend all this time telling you all this here,
all
and
this so.
I don't even provide the service.
And then I said, okay. So now when I talk to people, I ask one question: how can we partner? What? Tell me what you need.
What's your need?
What's your need? And
How
then
can I
I
help
let them talk, because then I can say, okay, this is what we can do.
you? Mm-hmm.
But if I don't let them talk, or if I don't understand what their need is, then they gonna shoot me down real
Right.
quick.
Right.
They
Because
gonna
you
shoot
ain't told me nothing. You can't help me because you just said absolutely nothing that we need.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to tell you. And that part worked. That part has helped me over the years, because I'm like, okay, I've met people in the craziest of places. Like I post my flyers in senior citizens Facebook groups, and this lady reached out to me that owns it's not a physical therapy. It's a it's not, it's like physical therapy, but it's not. It's like people in wheelchairs and stuff.
Mm.
And so she invited me over to see the facility, and we're talking, and that's what I asked. I was like, well, what's your need? Like, what's your client base look like? And she told me, and she was like, you offer wheelchair? And I was like, I sure do.
Sure do.
With a straight, like, I was like, I sure do. Like, and how often? Because she was like, sometimes my clients have to take cabs, and if you notice in some of your areas, these cabs is getting smart because they got wheelchair vans.
You better know it. And
And
it
so
says on there, wheelchair accessible.
there, and she was like, well, some of my clients have to wait, and she asked a ton of great questions, and it was a partnership from there. Like,
Yeah.
and so you just got to be willing to have those conversations. But like you said, you got to know what you offer. You got to know who you are and be comfortable with talking about your business
Mm-hmm.
to people that you don't know. But
That you
you got to know. I think it all boils down to, because I said marketing, but it's really about being a salesman. Like if
you're a
you
salesperson.
got
Yeah.
to be a salesman for your business, and if you're not willing to do that, then you might want to stay with the brokers.
You got to. You got to sell your business. You got to sell yourself. You got to get out there and you know, it's you got to have the elevator pitch, but at the same time, you got to have that second no. If they tell you no, what you gonna say next? You know, how you gonna combat that? Are you just gonna walk away, be like, okay, well, thank you? You know, are you gonna be thinking in the back of your mind, how can I rear this back into me?
Right.
Because you see an opportunity. If you don't see an opportunity, then okay,
Right.
appreciate you.
Yeah. You got to be willing to have a rebuttal.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be willing to say, okay, sometimes businesses will say, well, you know what, Stephanie, we have vans. And so my comeback is like, well, do you have drivers?
That's it.
Like, well, I got drivers. I'm like, well, when they work. I'm like, what's their hours?
Mm-hmm. We provide weekend services. Do they work on the weekends?
And so then most of them will say, well, you know what? We only have a driver on Tuesday and Thursday. We only have a driver on Wednesday. I said, well, what do you do about the clients that have appointments on Mondays
That's
or
it.
those other days? And they like, because sometimes when you think about being a salesman, is sometimes people don't know that they need your
They
service, and
need it.
tell them. You have to tell them that they need this.
That's right.
And so I mean, this lady I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, she was like, "You're right," because she was so quick to say we have vans, and I was like, "Well, do you have drivers here every day?" And she was like, "No,
Mm.
not every day." I said, "Well, how many days during the week?" And she said, "Like Tuesdays and Thursdays." I was like, "So what about your clients that have to go to dialysis 3 days a week? What about the clients that want to do stuff on the weekends? Like, how do y'all handle grocery store run?"
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Come on in, sit down."
And that's your way of getting into also, you know what? So you know, my ultimate goal is to also help you increase your client base. If I can provide my services to you on these days that you don't provide services, you know, that gives an opportunity for some of your new clients that need. So you have to be able to know how to jump in there and shoot your shot, you
Yeah,
know, and be able to tell them, you know, let them know you don't really know think you need me, but you do because you need me on these days. I'm gonna help you bring them in.
it's
So,
like
mm-hmm,
like
it's
dating.
an opportunity.
Like
It's
I
an
mean,
opportunity to get in
like
there.
dating. You know what I'm saying? You see somebody across the room, and you know what I'm saying. Y'all catch each other eye, but who gonna make the first
Who gonna
move?
make the first move?
Who gonna make the first move? And then you
You
go
want
over
it or not?
there, you like, you know, you kind of shy, but you decided. Listen, I'm gonna shoot my shot. That's the same way
That's
it
it. A
is
business.
with
Mm-hmm.
talking to customers.
Yep.
That's my opinion. I just feel like you got to be willing to have a regular conversation and not be so salesy and so pushy, but also be willing to, you know, have a organic conversation
Right.
where they can trust you because, again, it's a liability if they don't trust you and then you transport people and something happens.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to answer those questions like what kind of insurance do you have? How much is your liability? Do
That's
you
your
have
liability.
basic
Yeah.
insurance? Like what do you do in the event of an accident? What happens if a person does this in your vehicle? Like who do you call for this?
They
And
ask that question, those questions too. They will ask. They will definitely ask. We have some of our clients who, you know, they may do this and may do that. How do you handle it? You know, what about our dementia clients who they're antsy or something happens? How do you handle it if they want to get out the door? You know, because dealing with adult day centers and dementia, some of them may think it's time to get out the door. They want to know how you gonna handle these people on the road, getting our clients back and forth. They want to know that you're going to be comfortable with someone like that in your vehicle. So you got to know how to approach and how to answer these questions.
you can't be like,
Research.
oh, we good, and you ain't good. If you're not good with handling somebody like you said with dementia, that may. I mean, we've gotten kids that they try to say, well, this kid, he does this. No, I'm good. I don't want no kid. I don't want nobody in my car that don't. One of the kids that we got offered well, they called is he don't like females.
So
Or
what you want me?
what he gonna do? And the teacher was like, because I was getting ready to leave. This probably been like 2 years ago. I was about to leave, and the teacher was like, "Hold on, hold on, hold on." And she came running out there, and the school system didn't tell me. And so she was like, "They didn't tell you that, he don't like women. He fight." I,
Oh,
I said, "Who do what?" He, she said, "Oh, he fight." I said, "No, ma'am. They didn't tell me
come on,
that."
baby. Come on back on in here. Come.
And so they was trying to find somebody that would come get them. They couldn't. So I was like, she talked to him and she was like, listen, this is Miss Stephanie. She is my friend. You need to treat her like you treat me. If
Mm,
you do X, Y, Z, then I'll give you a treat tomorrow. Now, mind you, when I put that seatbelt on that Joker, I reeled that thing all the way back till I could hear click, 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 until he was in there tight. And I kept my hands on 9 and 3, and I'm looking because in the in that van at the time it had the little mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see he looking at me.
And I'm looking at him.
It's like R. Kelly. She looks at me. I was looking at him. He was looking at me, but he only lived like less than 5 minutes from his house. And so I told his mom, I was like, well, he'll have a different driver. He'll have a male driver tomorrow. It won't be my company. We're not doing it.
Wow.
But you gotta know, and you gotta be able to ask them questions, even when people connect on your website. Like you gotta ask them the right questions.
Get your intake form. Do your own intake. Ask those questions because you don't want somebody in there who, you know, God forbid,
Yeah.
they just don't have the right mindset.
You
How
gotta
do
be
you get ready to take them to they have a head trauma or something going on, or you just need to know they need an escort.
yeah.
What what all they need? What is it that I need to provide them? Because I need to be safe.
Yeah, that's because I'm in my mind. I'd already pictured when the teacher was telling me. I'd already pictured him trying to come up, and I was like, then it'd be on the whole van flip over, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. And so after that, I made sure that I asked the right questions about students because you just never know. All right, so Sharnese, tell everybody how they can reach you. I know you offer different services, but if somebody's on here and they're in dire need, like Gerald was, and he's in the Atlanta or the Georgia area, like how can people reach out to you?
So you can reach me Facebook, Sharnese Johnson. You can reach me Facebook, NEMT for Beginners. You can reach me at optimalreliabilitytrans.com. You can reach me at teambusiness.org. Google me.
Listen, Google me.
Listen, if you can't Google me, then, but yeah, you can reach me. I tell people to send me messages on Facebook. I'm on TikTok periodically. Listen, y'all see Stephanie all the time. Y'all ain't gonna see me all the time. I'm gonna tell you the truth because you're not gonna see me all the time.
I don't know why. I feel like sometimes, what I'm saying, TikTok family, what I'm saying, they so organically, I don't know, they just so like they don't care how you come.
Yeah, y'all not. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. But 9 times out of 10, if you on Facebook or you go to my business website, you're gonna find me, find information on me. You can reach me at 470-258-8114. Um, right now I'm doing free consultations. You got me for 25 minutes to ask your questions. So when
What?
you reach out and say, hey, I need to know. After that, I'm gonna send you straight to the website. So I'm just gonna let you know for free.
That's what's up.
But that's it.
And he's offering Stephanie ain't offering free
See, yeah,
consultation.
see, I mean, that's right there. She's just telling you right there. We ain't doing that for free. Now, I ain't say how long that was gonna go. I'm just saying that for right now, you know. But yeah,
Good out. That's good though. It kind of, I think, because I offer the 30 minute, and the hour.
hmm
The hour is more like you already kind of know what you want to do, and you just kind of stuck on some stuff. Um,
hmm
Even in a 25-minute consultation, like even talking to an expert like Sharnese, she's gonna be able to tell you if you might want to wait,
basically,
or what I'm saying, provide you with some additional insight to what you wasn't really thinking about. Um, Especially when you stuck on, I just I got my van, I'm ready to start with brokers, I'm trying to find brokers. But I think it's still a good thing. 25 minutes is good. Like if you
I'm
need
gonna
more,
know all I need to know from you in 25 minutes. And I'm gonna tell you what I got to tell you, and that's gonna be that. You're gonna make one or two decisions. You're gonna move forward and be like, okay, I'm ready. Or you can be like, yeah, I got a long ways to go. It don't take that long.
it
It,
don't. You're
it
right.
don't take long at all. 5 minutes of that gonna be you asking me questions. I mean, that's just it. Because
Yeah.
I know the industry. You're like you have two people sitting before you who know the industry, who have been through it, who have
Mhm.
experienced things.
Yeah.
So it does not take us long to understand or to tell you this ain't for you, or you need to start here, or you're not doing this the right way. You don't have to do it our way, but understanding that we've tried it. And if you're stuck there, then we're letting you know that's why you're stuck.
Hmm.
So it's all in how you take it.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like either you want to take like all my f ups, you know what I'm saying, all my trial and error, and you wanted to use it to your advantage, or you just closed minded and you said, well, I'm gonna go. It's like when your mama used to try to tell you like, don't go this way, don't do it, and then you say, you know what? She don't know what she talking about. She ain't never been young. She don't know. And then guess what? You find out the hard way. You could have just listened to what your mom said.
Avoided that whole step.
You could have.
Right.
So it's the. Well, I'm glad you came on. You know what I'm
And I
saying?
appreciate it.
Sharnese still she's sick, but I'm glad you hung out with us tonight. This was a great conversation.
Sure was. I appreciate it.
It
Yep.
was, you
You
know,
all get out there and get to asking questions and
I'm
don't
gonna
be
be I'm gonna be in Georgia November 11th in Macon
okay.
for NEMT meetup networking. I'll send you the info.
Send me the information.
Yeah, so we can come out.
I always go away from it.
I need to tell Roz about it too.
Yeah, I'm trying to put one together here in Atlanta. It's supposed to be October 20 something
Hmm.
to get one started here, um, to try to get the providers here together because we don't have it.
Yeah,
We don't have it. So, but it is what it is. You have the help available to you. Just go
yeah.
for it.
And it's all about it's. That's why I was saying like even when I started the NEMT networking, like when you think about how many people, if it's 30, 40 of y'all, like it's power in numbers.
That's
And so
right.
when you decide that you want to work together and not go against the grain, and not really think about people or other providers as competition versus
Mm-hmm.
we can work this thing together. And who knows, like all of us coming together at some point, then you can lobby. We can
That's
all
right.
lobby for these rates for these brokers
That's it.
to change, but it definitely takes all
It's
of us.
too. It's very divided. Just we're divided right now, so nobody's listening until we all come together to say, hey, we need to stop this. This is what we're wanting and what we're needing. Until then, yeah, they're gonna pick and choose. They're gonna offer the lowest, so they know that somebody's gonna want that low rate. So
Yeah,
it's all in what we perceive to be our best um, game plan,
yeah.
how we can corner and how we can conquer and how we can come together.
Mm-hmm.
We have
This
to
is
figure it out.
and it's doable. I think it's going to start with providers not taking low rates. Like if everybody decide I'm not going to accept $8, $12, there's no way that your business is going to be in business next
No way.
year if
No
you
way.
accept the rates at $12.
That's right.
Anything under $25, I don't I don't I don't know how
That's
you
how we
going
make
I don't know how you gonna make it. And so if brokers, if we know Medicaid is paying more,
it.
but brokers are in business to make money. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
so they taking 65, 70%, and you on we this whole 60/40 thing ain't working.
Ain't working for me. That's not the relationship I want.
I don't even know if it's 40%. It might be closer to like 30%.
Yeah, it's not there. It's not that high.
40%. So imagine if all of us could, come together. So we're gonna make it happen.
It would happen.
We're gonna make it happen. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all hanging out.
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully, if you come back and watch the replay, just type replay in the chat. But I'll keep it. It's on my YouTube, um, my personal Facebook, and it's in my Facebook group. And I want to say, I'm trying to think what I got going on. I said that we come to Georgia
hmm.
in November, and then I have a 1 day workshop on essential principles for passenger transportation. So it's really just the basic, but it's a 1 day full workshop with lunch
Hmm.
included, and you got to bring your laptops and be ready to get it
Ready
in.
to roll. That's it.
But you're gonna have it's face to face. I'm doing it in person here in Charlotte.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Excited about that. So we'll definitely connect again at some point.
We will, and I'm gonna try to make it to Macon. I don't think I have anything going on.
Yeah, it's like November. I'll send you the flyer. Like
Okay.
it's I booked Rhonda's spot in Macon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Good deal.
yeah.
All right, everybody.
Good
Appreciate
night.
you having me.
Hanging out. I'm glad you accepted.
Oh
And
yeah.
we'll, I will talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Good night,
Have a good night.
everybody. All right.
Okay.